Welcome to the Deep Talk channel. Today, we're embarking on a really fascinating deep dive into human behavior, personal transformation, basically what makes us tick. We're drawing insights from some powerful excerpts, specifically from Anthony Robbins' work, Awaken the Giant Within. Our mission today really is to unpack what drives us deep down, how our internal world, our thoughts and feelings, actually shapes our external reality, and maybe most importantly, how you can consciously take control, how you can create a life with more purpose, more fulfillment. Think of this as, well, a shortcut to understanding some surprising facts and practical strategies for making real change.
Yeah, and what's so interesting right off the bat is how it challenges that common idea,
Yeah.
The one that says our circumstances dictate our lives. Instead, the source argues, quite powerfully actually, that it's our daily decisions. Those small choices we make, often without thinking, those are the real architects of our destiny. Which of course brings up a big question for all of us. If that's true, then how do we start making, better decisions more consistently?
Okay, yeah, let's dig into that. This foundational principle, it really runs through everything in the source material. It argues that everything we do, like every single action you take, is driven by these two primal forces, our need to avoid pain and our desire, our drive to gain pleasure. It's fundamental.
Exactly. And it's not just some philosophical concept. It's deeply wired into our nervous systems. The source talks about neuroassociations. These are the connections, the links our brain instantly makes between an action or an experience and either pain or pleasure. There's this vivid example he gives from his youth. His mother trying to stop him from drinking beer. She made him drink so much he got violently ill. And that immediate, intense physical pain created such a strong neuroassociation. He says just the smell of beer afterwards would trigger that awful memory. He never touched it again. That's a powerful, direct link.
Right. And here's where it gets really, really crucial for us, I think. These associations, these quick links our brain makes, they don't always work for us. We might, link short-term pleasure, like maybe the comfort of putting something off to behavior that causes long-term pain, like missing an important deadline. Or the flip side. We link short-term pain, say, the effort of starting a new exercise habit to something that would actually bring us massive long-term pleasure, like feeling healthy and energetic. Think about diets, right? The source points out how often people link the pain of giving up certain foods to the act of dieting itself. That's why just using willpower often fails. For real change, you have to consciously rewire that. You need to link intense pain to the unhealthy behavior and link massive pleasure to the positive one. It's about changing what things mean to you.
Mm-hmm. And if we zoom out a bit, look at the bigger picture. These pain-pleasure dynamics, they aren't just random brain sparks. They actually form the foundation of what the source calls our master system of evaluation. Think of the master system as like your brain's main operating system for life. It includes your core beliefs, your values, the rules you live by maybe unconsciously, and even your sense of identity, who you think you are. Basically, it's the filter through which you see everything and decide how to act.
Okay, so let's break that down. Beliefs first. The source calls them unquestioned commands to our nervous systems, which is a powerful way to put it. They aren't necessarily logical or even true, but we act as if they are. They direct our behavior, and they're built on what the source calls references, past experiences, things we've learned, maybe even just things we've imagined vividly. There's a really surprising example in the source, the QWERTY keyboard, the one we all use. Most of us probably assume it's designed for maximum typing speed, right?
Yeah, it seems logical.
But apparently not. The source says it was actually designed to slow typists down on old mechanical typewriters to stop the keys from jamming. Yet it became the standard for speed because of one sort of flawed competition where a QWERTY typist won.
Wow. That really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? It just shows how easily we can adopt beliefs without ever questioning where they came from or if they're actually true. And that leads to a really important question for you listening. How many beliefs, maybe disempowering beliefs, are you holding on to about yourself or about what's possible? Beliefs based on foundations just as shaky as that keyboard story. The source also touches on the incredible power of belief in healing. It mentions cases where physical symptoms, supposedly even things like eye color or disease progression, changed when someone's core belief shifted. It even talks about how the perceived effect of drugs can be entirely shaped by belief, like that story of people fainting at a stadium thinking a drink dispenser was contaminated. But the fainting stopped instantly when they were told it wasn't faulty. Our beliefs can literally make us sick or well. They can limit us or set us free.
It's kind of staggering, the power they hold. Okay, so moving on within that master system. Values. These are the emotional states we're always moving towards, things like Love, joy, freedom, connection, or moving away from, like rejection, failure, humiliation. The author tells a story about working with a woman, Jolie, who had her dream job at Disneyland but was deeply unhappy.
Right, I remember that.
Her unhappiness wasn't really about the job itself. It was a clash, a conflict between her core values, love, health, growth, accomplishment, and the reality of the job. It meant missing family time, neglecting her health. When she actually sat down and reevaluated what her true top values were, prioritizing them, leaving Disneyland wasn't failure anymore. It was aligning with what mattered most. It gave her clarity to make a different choice, one that led to more fulfillment. It really shows that happiness isn't just about achieving external goals. It's about living in sync with your deepest values.
Absolutely. And those values are tightly connected to our rules. These are like the unconscious instruction manuals we have. Beliefs about what must happen or what conditions must be met for us to feel certain emotions. Like, I'll feel successful only if I get this promotion, or I'll feel loved only if my partner does X, Y, and Z. There's a great story about watching a total solar eclipse. A cloud blocked the view right at the key moment, and lots of people were devastated. Their rule for happiness was seeing the full eclipse. But he and his wife decided consciously right then, our rule for today is we're going to enjoy this no matter what. And that simple shift in their internal rule allowed them to find joy and awe in the experience anyway. It shows happiness isn't just about external events. It's about the rules we set for experiencing it. The power is internal.
Exactly. So what's the big takeaway here for you, the listener? It means you can literally choose your rules for happiness. You can decide joy isn't dependent on everything being perfect. It's about your internal framework. And this connects right to the deepest level. Identity. The source says our identity is the ultimate belief. It's who we believe we are, fundamentally. Think of Jean Valjean in Les Miserables. His identity shifted massively from prisoner to honest man after that act of kindness from the bishop. A total transformation. He literally tore up his old papers, took on a new identity, and that single internal shift changed everything. His actions, his rules, his values, his whole destiny. The source is clear. Change your identity, change who you believe you are at your core, and your entire master system has to shift to match it. Your actions follow your identity.
Okay, so that's the deep architecture, the master system. But the source also gives us some, well, surprisingly practical tools we can use right away for immediate change. The first one is fascinating: transformational vocabulary. The idea is that the actual words you use to describe your experiences don't just reflect how you feel, they actively shape how you feel. They can dial the intensity up or down.
It's incredible when you think about it, isn't it? The source argues if you constantly say you're overwhelmed, guess what? You feel overwhelmed. That label becomes your reality. But if you consciously pick a different word, a less intense one, maybe instead of overwhelmed, you say you're in demand or challenged. That simple change can instantly lower the emotional heat, shift your state. The author himself talks about changing his word for anger. Instead of getting furious, he started labeling the feeling as annoyed or a bit peeved.
Right.
And he found that by doing that consistently, he actually stopped experiencing that extreme rage. It wasn't just playing with words, it was retraining his emotional response. A powerful tool.
Definitely. And similarly, our life metaphors. These are the kind of unconscious comparisons we use to frame our whole lives. If deep down your metaphor is life is a battle, you're going to approach everything defensively, expecting struggle. But if you shift that metaphor maybe to life is a dance or life is a game, your whole approach changes: more flow, more playfulness, less resistance. The source even gives a technique for instantly breaking negative patterns by mentally scrambling the images associated with them. Like, picture a negative memory, maybe a boss yelling, and then turn it into a silly cartoon in your mind, give them a squeaky voice, big floppy shoes. It sounds weird, but it can disconnect the negative emotion.
It really does. It gives you back control in that moment. Okay, but here's another twist, something that really flips conventional wisdom. What if those negative emotions we try so hard to avoid, if they aren't actually bad? The source reframes them as action signals. They're messages, basically, trying to guide us. So feeling hurt, for example, isn't just pain. It's a signal that maybe an expectation you had wasn't met or a standard wasn't upheld. And anger, it's not just destructive. It's a powerful signal that one of your important rules or standards has been violated, either by you or someone else. The key isn't to shut these feelings down, but to listen. Understand the message, figure out what it's telling you needs attention or change, and then take conscious, useful action. Don't just react.
Yeah, that concept of conscious action flows right into how we think about goals and the future.
Yeah.
The source really emphasizes creating a compelling future, setting goals that are big enough, exciting enough, clear enough to actually pull you forward, to tap into your real potential. And it champions this principle, key RNA. Constant and never-ending improvement. It's not about just setting one huge goal way off in the distance. It's about those small, consistent daily improvements in every area: health, finances, relationships, personal growth. It's that little bit of stretch, that tension of temporary discomfort, as the source puts it, that keeps pulling you forward, not the agony of huge failures.
And it gets practical with examples for each area, showing how Sin and I works, like with finances, financial mastery. It talks about getting past those mixed associations about money, wanting it, but also maybe thinking it's stressful or greedy, and challenging that belief in scarcity. The core idea for wealth creation, or economic alchemy as it's called, is simple but powerful. Consistently add massive value to others.
Right. Solve problems, create things people need.
Exactly. Leverage your skills, your creativity. Practically, it suggests saving at least 10% consistently, maybe automatically, so you don't miss it, and reinvesting profits. The goal is to reach critical mass where your money starts working for you, generating more money, creating that freedom.
And the same applies to health. It talks about aerobic exercise, specifically training in that aerobic zone where you can still talk, not just for fitness, but because it helps stimulate human growth hormone, HGH, which is crucial for muscle tone, flexibility, energy, vitality, keeping us strong and vibrant, not just alive as we get older. It's about optimizing your body's chemistry for the long, and even in relationships, beyond the obvious stuff like good communication and setting fair rules. It gives this memorable, maybe slightly quirky example: regular date nights ending with a 180-second wet kiss.
Yeah, memorable.
But the point isn't the literal instruction, right? It's a vivid way of saying consistent, intentional intimacy and connection, even in small rituals, are vital. They stop relationships from just drifting into roommate territory. You have to actively nurture the passion.
So after exploring all of this, what does it really boil down to for you, the listener? This whole deep dive suggests that your life experience, everything you feel and achieve, is fundamentally a result of your decisions. Decisions about what you focus on, what meaning you give things, and what actions you take based on those meanings. It's a pretty profound realization, actually. Like, you have this incredible power within you. The ability to literally awaken the giant within, as the title says, and consciously shape your own path.
Absolutely. And if there's one thread that runs through everything, it's what the source stresses over and over. Knowledge is not enough. You must take action. It's not just about understanding your master system, your beliefs, values, rules, identity. It's about actively, consciously managing it, seeking out new distinctions, new insights, and applying them consistently, every day.
Which brings us to a final thought, a question maybe for you to take away and really chew on. Given everything we've talked about today, pain and pleasure driving you, your master system shaping your world, the tools like vocabulary and metaphors, what is one single decision you could make right now, today, to start consistently transforming your life in a way you desire, and maybe just as vital? What small, concrete action will you take immediately, maybe even in the next hour, to prove to yourself that this decision is real, to anchor it? Remember that idea from the source. Maybe even your toughest days, your worst days, have actually been your best if you choose to see them differently. If you see them as the experiences that forged you, that prepared you for a greater, more compelling destiny that you are now consciously choosing.